Hello everybody. So today I'm going to do a video that you guys have requested on how to contour and highlight your face. So first things first, get that hair out of the way because you're definitely going to want it out of the way. The light's kind of shining on that, but that is CoverGirl's True Blend Liquid Makeup, and I use the shade I5, which is Creamy Natural. I picked that up at Target, super cheap, and it's extremely blendable. So I go right ahead and I blend that with a damp um, beauty blender dupe kind of thing. You can get those at any like local Marshalls or stores like that, outlets that'll have them. They're usually about like $5. You don't have to go and commit to the $22 beauty blender because they all do basically the same exact thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put on, I use 3 pumps of that because it does have a pump attached, so I just go ahead and pump 3 times on my hand and use all of that product all over my face until everything's properly covered. And once you're sure everything's blended out pretty well, that's when I make sure that I blend it around my jawline, and I go ahead, and that is going to be Estee Lauder's Double Wear Foundation, and I use it in the shade Ivory Beige, and I go on top with a Real Technique brush, and I forget the name of that one. I want to say it's a Face Expert brush. It ranges for about $8 or $9. You can get it at Ulta, you can get them at Kohl's if you don't have an Ulta in town, but it's an excellent, excellent face brush. I use it for foundation and I use it for concealer, as you're going to see, and it just blends out everything really, really well because it's very dense and packed. The Estee Lauder foundation, the reason I didn't show the packaging is just because I only have a sample size of it. If you go to your local counter, they usually will let you try it out, just a small sample, so you don't have to commit to the $40 price, which I definitely didn't want to, but I have to say it's my favorite foundation. It covers everything flawlessly. It gives your skin a very natural, dewy look, not too matte, not too watery looking, so it's awesome. Definitely worth the price, so I'm gonna have to commit. Anyways, now I'm going to go in with the NYX bronzer. If you saw my previous video, this is one that I rant and rave about. It's my favorite. I use an e.l.f. brush right there, and that is just a powder brush. It's flat topped. You can get it at Target for $3. And I go in right there. A lot of people make that face because it hollows out your cheekbone, and you're going to take that bronzer and you're going to put it right under that strong bone line right there. And I drag it up in about a C motion up towards the temples of my forehead, and then I go in on the other side and do the same thing. After a while, you'll get the use of it. Everybody's contour line's a little bit different. I just wouldn't bring it too far down towards the mouth because then it's way too dramatic and you're going to separate too much of your jawline from that line right there, and it's going to be too distinct. So anyways, I just blend it. Nothing too fancy. Relatively easy. I just pack a lot of that pigment on there and drag it down my temples to give the proper shadowing effect. And then a lot of people usually take a more narrow brush and just really distinctly contour the sides of their nose to make it look more narrow, but I tend to find that I don't like that look. It's too apparent, so I just kind of go and brush it all over my nose. Just bronze my nose entirely, make sure I buff it out. And then right there, if you want to make your chin a little bit more distinct, if you do a U shape, it'll kind of define your jawline a little bit. And then of course drag it down your neck just to make sure that, you know, everything's matching properly. Alright, so then I go back in with that Beauty Blender dupe of a sponge and I kind of just lightly press on top of it, make sure there's no harsh lines. Make sure that it is not too damp. You do have to dampen these sponges before you use them, but if you dampen it too much, then it's going to pull all of that product right off your face because water and powder do not mix. Alright, so then I'm going to go in with CoverGirl's Fresh Complexion. This is going to be in the shade Classic Ivory, and it's just a concealer, but I use that as a highlight. So you put it under your eyes, almost like a V shape, I guess, and then you put a little bit on your chin, and then I don't always, but a lot of people like to put it a little bit on their forehead and down the bridge of their nose. So I'm going to go right back in with that Real Techniques brush and blend it out. As you can see, it really brightens up the face. I mean, that is like an awesome, awesome highlight, and it's $5 at Target, so you might as well go get it. And then I go back in again with the same sponge just to make sure there's no harsh lines. That's really what that sponge is good for. It just makes everything kind of seep into your skin a lot more natural looking. Alright, and then I'm going to go into my Lorac Mint Edition palette, and I'm going to use the highlight from there, and I just put it on my finger and I sweep it again in a C motion, pulling it up towards my temples a little bit, and just sweep it into my skin with my finger, because the heat on your fingers actually is what allows a lot of the product to go into your skin and look flawless. So your fingers are great tools, you know, use what God gave you. They're super cheap, obviously, so might as well go with that. Put a little bit down the bridge of my nose and just a little bit on my lips because it makes them look fuller. And then that's it, as simple as that, and you're all done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you found it useful. As you can see, super quick.